Hi, my name is Sister Antonianna. I'm a sister of life here in New York City. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself and how God called me to be a sister. Now, I grew up in Vancouver, British Columbia, and grew up in a Catholic family. And just faith was something that we did. We went to Mass, prayed the Rosary, and it wasn't so much a relationship, but more things that we did. And so after a couple hours of doing that on a Sunday, then the rest of the week was free game, basically. So I got involved in a ton of stuff all growing up, and I was really involved in the pro-life club and the environment club and all these different things, a lot of clubs and activities. But I really, religious life was totally not on my radar screen at all. I didn't actually think God was calling women anymore to religious life. I didn't know any young sisters. And so marriage was just something that I presumed I'd get married and have a family, and that's the desires of my heart. Actually, desires of every woman's heart is to fall in love and get married and have a family. So all of that being said, I ended up going on a pilgrimage to World Youth Day in Rome. And preparing for the pilgrimage, somebody asked me if I wanted to do a consecration to St. Louis de Montfort, through St. Louis de Montfort, to Jesus through Mary. And never heard about it. And I'm like, well, what does it involve? And it's like praying for like 33 days and then consecrating yourself to Jesus through Mary. So I started doing that. And the day before my consecration, we landed in Rome. I was sitting in a chapel. The lights were out. There was a tiny little light by the tabernacle. And my heart was overflowing with love and thanksgiving for God. And I just started thanking him for everything. Like, thank you, Lord, for my mom, my dad, my family. Thank you for allowing me to come to Rome. And after I went through this whole litany of thanksgiving, at the end of it, when I was finally quiet, in the silence of my heart, I heard God call me to love him with an undivided heart. And it was like a proposal. Will you love me with an undivided heart? And I just started crying. I was a mess. And it was just this juxtaposition of peace and joy and terror and fear. And all at the same time, I knew that I had to change the plans of my life, because I knew that whatever God wanted for me would make me the most happy. And so, again, the Lord proposed that question in my heart: will you love me with an undivided heart? And I said, yes. Like, yes, Lord, I give you everything. I give you my mind, my will, my body, my womb. Do with me as you please. And then a few days later, I got extremely sick, was hospitalized for many days, got a blood transfusion, and I had to actually get the last rites. And there I am, lying in a hospital bed in Rome. And then I went to Padua, and again, I was hospitalized again. And the Lord again asked me, will you love me with an undivided heart? And I knew that my first yes to him was under my terms. I had control. And now here I am, totally helpless, sick in the hospital, getting a blood transfusion with Italian blood. And I'm like, wow, I surrender. I give you everything, Lord. And now it was a yes of complete surrender. And so I got better, obviously, and I came back to Canada, and I just couldn't stay away from the Lord. I would go to daily Mass between classes. I'd spend time with the Blessed Sacrament. And slowly, he began inflaming my heart with his love and his desires for my life. And so, interesting enough, I contacted the Vocation director in Vancouver. I called him, and I said, I think I'm called to be a nun, but what does that mean, and are people doing this anymore? And he called me in, and he asked me a little bit about my story, and he told me about the Sisters of Life, a community which dedicates their life to lay down their lives so others may live. We take a special fourth vow to protect and enhance the sacredness of life. And he said, they live in New York City. And I'm like, New York City? Like, no way. But anyway, I came and visited a few times that one summer before I graduated, and my heart felt like it began to beat even faster. And it was almost as if the Lord said, I created your heart for all eternity to love in this way, to love with this charism. And looking around and seeing the sisters, seeing the women that they serve, and seeing the children that wouldn't have been alive if the sisters weren't there to provide for her. And to see the Lord encourage these women to become beautiful mothers, I knew that this is where God was calling me. And so after I graduated university, I applied to the Sisters of Life and entered, and now that's 15 years ago. So I've been a Sister of Life 15 years, and just every day God reveals more and more of his love, his joy, and I'm just so grateful to be called to lay down my life so others may live.